to me, uncertainty, the tension, particularly the idea that you need that two competing things, like you are perfect exactly the way you are, and you can get better.
You can get better.
And then your financial plan is the most amazing thing ever. The calculations are awesome. It's the best plan ever designed ever, and it's wrong.
Mhm.
Right? Like we run from that tension. The same thing is like running from uncertainty. It turns out sometimes I just want to call this reality-based financial planning. It's like it turns out you can't run from the uncertainty. You can't run from the tension. I mean, you can, but so why? It's so interesting to me that because think we pay for that tension in other areas of our lives, and I'm commingling the uncertainty as well. Like you don't go to the movies because you know exactly how it's going to turn out. You certainly don't pick up a new novel because you know exactly. This is boring. I've heard this story before, right? You don't go. I don't surf every single time, and I'm terrible at it. I'm just trying to get better. But I don't go to the mountains. I'm good in the mountains. I'm good on rivers. I don't go whitewater kayaking because I know how it's going to turn out. I don't go into the mountains because I know. When I leave, I have a really great plan. And we just did this trip. We just did this trip with eight guys. We met. This part of this trip I did. We met in Catalina. It's a dirtbag trip. I say that with as a term of endearment. I'm just telling you this because everybody's like, "Oh, so fancy." It was spearfishing and lobster diving, but we slept on the boat. We got rained on. I slept in 2 inches of water at one point. Like we made all of our own food. So just to be clear, I don't want to get any emails about how it must be nice. But we go and we had a perfect plan for this trip. The trip was amazing because it was bioless, so you weren't allowed to, nobody knew. I organized the trip, so I knew, two of us organized the trip, so I knew most people's work, but nobody else did, and you weren't allowed to talk about work. It was a guy's trip. I don't know how it would be for women because I'm not a woman, and I've never had this conversation with a woman about it, but for me, and for the other men on this trip, showing up knowing that you couldn't talk about work was super scary.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to talk about? Right?
Right.
So that was the first thing. Day one, and I'm done with this rant. Day one, we knew where we were going to sleep. When we left Long Beach, headed over to Catalina, we knew we had a reservation at a camp spot or a buoy. I can't remember. We were either going to sleep on the boat or not. I can't remember what it was because in that single day, where we were going to sleep changed 3 times. Right? And it was the reason the trip was so great was because we all gathered around and were like, okay, looks like wind's coming in from the north. We thought it was going to be from the south. The swell's a little bit bigger. What are we going to do? Everybody cool. And you had to have that mentality going. So we had to tell people. I was the one that invited people on the trip. So I had to tell people, my brothers from the mountains, hey, we're going out to the ocean. Bring that same mentality we've had up there to there.
Yeah.
And I tell you, we have a great plan. And I promise you, none of it's going to go according to plan. And the parts when it doesn't go according to plan are going to be the parts you remember.
Yep.
We pay for that. And yet, when we do this planning thing and we talk about money and life, we run from it. And I think that's so fascinating. So I'm trying to flip that switch.
Yeah.
In other areas of our lives, we call it surprise. We call it mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Like we pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this area of our lives, we will pay for a what do they call safetyism? A false sense of security.
Yeah.
Even if we know it's not true, we'll pay for it because we don't want to accept the fact that the ground is shifting beneath our feet.